Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. And then you said first thing you wanted to do was go over that.
Go over, yeah, before we talk about the market research project,
Okay.
and it is a substantial amount of.
Okay.
Okay. So this was on your project plan for the PEC, to explore a market study, and that had reached out to Southern Oregon University before we left. So that's what we call it.
Okay. Well, it was a substantial cost. Okay.
Yeah. The cost is $8,158.
I guess how does everybody feel about that? Like, is this something you feel like we need to do? Is it worth the money?
Can everybody speak up a little bit? I mean, I've even got my hearing aids in and it's hard for me to hear you. So
Are these
mask and
on?
all that.
Are these on?
Oh,
Ah,
okay, that's better.
Great.
Perfect.
Okay. So I guess I'm just trying to figure out how everyone feels. It sounds like Bennett, you don't think that it is worth the money or the time.
right. I think so let me back up. When we first started talking about this, it was something that we thought that we might be able to get somebody to do for free.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think there's a dozen and a half, if not 150, other things that we could do with $8,000 that would produce a much better result than this.
Mhm. Okay. I did talk to Jane about the Ford Family Foundation. This might be something they would give us some financial support for. And the answer was yes, we could write a grant and more than likely she thought it was a very good candidate to get approved. How much of that, I don't know. But I can see what you're saying, Bennett.
Does anybody in this room remember what it was that we wanted to study?
I think we were trying to figure out what businesses people in town were looking for in order to help fulfill those empty buildings with things that people were actually wanting to go do. I guess I had anticipated the cost being free. That's why we were kind of like reaching out to like a college as like part of a project that they could do for their graduation type thing is what I had anticipated. I wasn't expecting it to cost money.
I know the food bank did a survey and they used the Survey Monkey and is that what they call it? Survey Monkey. And they were very happy with the results of that.
So maybe it's something we could just do ourselves. Yeah, I think it's too much money.
I think so too.
You think so
Just
too?
for a town,
Okay.
a little town.
It is a tiny town, yeah.
Maybe
Okay,
someday,
so-
but
So I guess how do we go about that if all four of us are thinking it's,
So if you don't want to do it, you don't need to make any motion.
okay,
That's all. You just leave it off. And then when you discuss the budget, you can ask that be removed from the budget.
okay.
Okay?
Does everyone feel good about that and finding maybe a
Yeah.
different way to do it?
I think it's good that we pursued looking into it. And now that we know, what the cost would be and what the options. So.
Yes, I agree.
So at some point, I wanted to say just a little bit about the plan that we have, our business plan. So because this actually was something that kind of stirred around in my head after Jenny said at a meeting that she had decided that maybe she wasn't going to do the passport. And then she thought maybe, yes, she would do it. So we have this plan in place and we certainly as a council can, or whatever we're called, commission, we can change that plan, but we need to actually bring it to the group and say, okay, we want to edit the plan. And so, so Jenny could have said, hey, I don't want to do this, but just are making the decision that we weren't going to do it. That would be something that would need to come back to the entire group. Yeah. And so same with this. is that if we decide not to do it or do it differently or whatever, we probably need to go and see how it's characterized in the plan and then change the plan accordingly.
Well, Bennett brings up a good point. All the effort that's gone into the plan, I think we need to really be looking at it and
Yeah.
Yeah,
do what we've decided to do.
yeah.
So,
Do you guys remember if this was a part of the plan?
It was.
It
yeah,
was,
a
okay.
marketing survey.
I still think it's a great idea to do it. I don't personally think $8,000 is a great idea.
And I think the idea of Survey Monkey, we have this email list. Do you know how many are on that email list?
That are still, because we did lose a few.
That's active, yeah.
We have about 1,100.
Yeah, 1,100 is a
That's
lot of
great, yeah.
people, right?
Yeah.
So, so we have the means of doing this ourselves and pretty effectively.
I agree. I also think we can utilize social media to send people to that.
Right.
And it doesn't have to cost us a bunch of money. So I think you're right. We do need to stick to what we decided on the plan. I just don't think the $8,000 personally is a great idea. But if we're all in agreement with that, then I think we should move forward with finding a new way to do this research. If that works for everybody. Okay.
There's plenty of.
Sounds good.
Okay. So the next thing that's on there is the commissioner position, discuss applicants. We had one applicant, is that right? And he's not here. No.
Oh. You were too late.
Yeah, and then, in the packet, you would have received applicant. I did go back and look at the application that he had submitted, back in, I believe it was November. And it really doesn't say much more. It says he ran for city council and he wants to help improve the city.
Yeah.
Kind of just generic.
Does anybody personally know him?
Pardon?
Does anybody personally know? It's Scott, right?
I
Scott
don't, I
Stout.
don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I only know him just from Facebook and just, community watch, like community stuff that he
Mhm.
posts and
What was his last name again?
Stout. I think his wife is Shannon Stout.
STAUDT.
That sounds familiar. I think
Yeah,
I might
they-
know Shannon.
Yeah, they're pretty active within the community. And I mean, he definitely is always looking for ways to help, but I don't personally know him.
Do we have any reason for not having him? be
Not at
on the-
all.
Yeah.
Absolutely no reason. He seems like he genuinely just wants to be like a part of the community. So I have no problem recommending him personally, but I think that's something we all should talk about.
Yeah, how do we go about it? He's the only one who applied, so is it, can we say no? Or
I
is he
mean,
default then? I mean, how's it
I
work?
think the
Do
city
we-
council can say no, can't they?
The city council can, but we just, excuse me, give a recommendation that we thought it was a good, that he's an adequate applicant.
I don't really.
Or we can say nothing.
Yeah,
We don't have to do anything.
I think that, like, for me, like with a signature and like my own like word, like I have a hard time putting like my name down on something that I haven't interacted with.
Sure.
I am not saying no, but like I don't necessarily know him to or have like the ability to hear from what he's thinking. So, but it seems like it'd be a good fit.
yeah, I agree. I just don't know him personally well enough to be able to say yes or no.
You know what, we could just do exactly that. Is we could say, we could craft a statement. And the statement says, we don't know the applicant, but we don't have any objection to him. And
I think that's
send out-
great.
yeah.
And if we have some issues, once he gets on the board, we can talk to him or outvote him or, he's only one person, so.
Okay. Outvote him. You're out of here.
Yeah.
You're off the island. Okay, I mean, I think that's great.
So, I'll need a motion. If you
Okay.
want to just suggest.
So I just need, how would I say that?
I'll do in motion.
Great.
Okay.
I love that.
I move that we say to the city council that we do not know this applicant, but we do not have any objection to his joining this commission.
I second that.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Okay, so now we are looking at the 2022-2023 fiscal year budget. And first thing on that is the project plan timeline update.
So part of this is your budget last year had some events that are going to fall into the next fiscal year. So your project plan technically would end this year. And I think we want to extend the project plan to another year because these events that are going forward are actually going to be in the next fiscal year.
Okay.
Does that seem reasonable?
Yeah. What's everybody else think about that? So what's everybody else think about that?
Yeah, I'm gonna go take a look at it.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So if I'm understanding correctly, it's just to say that this budget would be just, we'd continue that with the same mindset onto,
So your project plan that you voted in is for 2021 through 2022. And I'm recommending, or yeah, I want you to discuss extending that another year, so it goes through 2023. Does that make sense? Because the fiscal year ends in July 1st. And most of your events are going to fall into the next fiscal year.
Literally all of them. it
Yeah.
Looks like,
Yeah,
so,
yeah, exactly.
okay. So the only thing we'd be looking to change on this would be to change the market research portion.
Correct, unless you had anything else that you wanted to add or take out of budget. I left all the numbers except for added a little bit for sponsorship for 4th of July. I think that you can bring in another couple sponsors and make a little more money on that.
Okay.
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 So it's nothing against you or anything, so, yeah. Okay, so 4th of July, Connie, does that look realistic to you?
We always come out in the black. I mean, we've never been in the red. So the registration fees meet the expenses and we've always been maybe 300 to the good.
So the Estacada Airport and Palm Event have been merged,
Mm-hmm.
and so, and they're listed here as two separate things.
Yes.
And so we, back to you, Connie, is, we had talked about having a lot of that free instead of actually charged. So, so what do you think? Is that a realistic budget? Do you expect that you're gonna raise $15,000 for that event?
Do we what?
Do you think you're gonna raise $15,000 from that event?
I would be surprised if we did. We are gonna, I'm hoping we can kind of scale it back for this first year back in motion for Uncorked and the Harvest Festival. A lot depends on getting sponsors. We will be charging for the Uncorked. I think it's probably more than what we need. And it's more income that I think we'll get, especially from, well, yeah, since we did break out Uncorked in the fall event. If you're looking at income for just the Harvest Festival under fall event, we won't need that much and we won't make that much. But for Uncorked, it's probably, we have a lot of the glasses, we have a lot of product already. So I think it's a little high, but we haven't done this for what, 3 years? So I don't really know what to expect.
How are we making money during the fall event portion of Uncorked?
For the Harvest Festival?
Yeah, are we even
Um,
making money on
No,
that?
we really just used the money that we had in the account. We always got the pies donated from Harvest Market and the pumpkins. We had vendors that we would charge a fee for. It didn't take a lot for the paint for the pumpkins and supplies for the pie eating. We did hot dogs for 1 year, which I hope we don't do again. So there really wasn't a lot of expense to the Harvest Festival. So we usually had enough money left over from like the 4th of July parade to put towards something like that. Uncorked is a different matter because
Right.
that's got some
Because we're charging for alcohol, correct?
We're charging for, up for discussion, but we'll be charging for tokens for people to get samples.
Okay,
And that's still to be worked out,
okay.
but we already have, I think we have what, 200 glasses upstairs? I mean, we have a lot of stuff still.
Okay.
How many people, I know again, we're coming. back
Chris,
from-
could you talk into, I'm sorry.
I know that generally we're coming back from COVID time, so that we, may or may not get as many people, but like, how many people would come to Uncorked in the past? Like you say, we have like about 200 glasses up there. Would that be like just a drop in the bucket of what we need, or is it like that covers half of the people?
It would probably cover more than half.
Okay,
Yeah. I wish I had the figures. Yeah, I think the first year we had over 500, but then so much depends on the weather and what's going on at the time.
Mhm.
So that's going to be something that, the committee, when we get it together, we'll just have to have a discussion as to what we are going to be realistically thinking we would get, since we're having both events on the same day.
Well, so what I hear you saying is, it's kind of if we're unsure as to what the revenue would be versus the expenses. And so because of that, we might want to consider having that be a negative number. So we merge those two events and actually have a negative like $2,000 or $3,000. So that gives you some playroom if it turns out for the better.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
If not, then you've got some
Yeah.
budgeted money. And then one last question, which is, the market research and the miscellaneous, what generated the revenue from those two things?
So we were considering a possible grant or sponsorship.
so that's kind of like,
Sponsorship for market research?
Yeah, no, I mean, I received, utility companies tend to like this kind of information because they'll use it. And so they will often sponsor that kind of research, whether it's market research or if we're doing a business retention expansion. Okay. Okay.
so with the market and the miscellaneous lines, the income is a proposed income versus like we have it in our pocket at the moment. Like, it's not like all of these are in the sense of a normal budget, like these are the proposed.
These are all estimates of what we would potentially bring in. They're not hard and fast numbers. But you do want to send something, especially since it has to go through the budget committee with the city. So we need to have some kind of numbers that are generally within the ballpark.
Got it.
So one of the things that we did in creating the plan was that we identified ourselves largely as a marketing body, and that our primary purpose was to market the downtown core. And to do that is we have few revenue raising options in that context, other than the one event, and then maybe applying for some grants. Grants are, who knows? So I would recommend that what we do is eliminate the income producing in those two line items and leaves them as expenses, but put them under marketing. So instead of having market research, we just have marketing activities, and we put that down for, 8,000, or pick a number that you like. And that would give us some opportunity. And so there will be a negative budget. It'll be an expense. And so I know that the overall objective over time is to have the activities of this commission be self-sustaining under the model produced by the Main Street program. But the fact is that if we're going to be able to effectively do something, particularly after a 2-year, hiatus of COVID, this and that, we could use some money to actually do something. And so I would recommend that we go ahead and submit a negative budget to the tune of about 10 grand.
If I'm understanding you, Bennett, that would be by the city saying yes to our budget. They would be, in the sense, giving us that
Yep.
10 grand.
Absolutely.
And I think I would be in the same line, whether it be 10 or something else, just with the fact of like the uncorked and some of those, because of the hiatus of COVID times, we may not have the turnout, it may not be as popular, we may not get as much coming in. And so it's also a year that we could use to then budget off of and maybe predict even more revenue from later. But right now, it seems like, especially from my stance, I haven't even
Mhm.
seen one since I've moved here because of COVID stuff, to really adequately predict. So I like that myself better.
Do you think that that's something that the city would approve?
So if we ask it, they can either say no, they can send us back to the drawing board, or they can say yes and modify the amount, or they can just say yes, which I actually think they'll do. And then, but the first question I would ask if I were a city councilor is I would say, well, what are you going to spend this marketing money on? And we have some things in our plan. We have door hangers and we have other types of advertising that we've talked about. And so we have a list of things that we have discussed and actually approved via our business plan.
If everybody else thinks it is.
Yeah. Good points.
Okay, so do we want to, then we want to adjust the income and expenses and combine them for Estacada Uncorked in the fall event?
Yes.
So make that one line item. And then what are you proposing for expenses and income there?
I would suggest that we leave the expense at 15,000, but we put the income at 12,000.
And then you're wanting to do like a separate line item for marketing,
Mhm.
in which we'd be just asking for the remaining 7 grand.
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody feel good about that?
Yeah. With miscellaneous, I know what miscellaneous could imply for like a committee like ourselves or a commission like ourselves. And that was where you were saying that grants or potentially other things might come in for supporting those extras. And that's where that 1,200 came from.
There's a few different options. Grants is one of them. You know, if we're going to have a surplus of glasses from an event, we could potentially sell those after the event, and that could bring in more income. If we decide we want to offer, we're doing the email newsletter. Once that gets rolling, you could sell ad space on that, so somebody could pay for an ad on it. There's a lot of different options for potentially bringing in some income.
So Bennett, with your idea of going into a negative budget, would you see for that miscellaneous wanting to have an amount there, or would that go more towards having nothing there? Like a zero?
You know what? I don't really care because it's miscellaneous.
Uh-huh.
And so we could move it toward marketing. We could move it toward anything we wanted to. So having it there means that it's not identified and therefore you have flexibility. If $7,000 additional is the amount, then put 6,000 into marketing and 1,000 into miscellaneous and we're home.
Cool.
So do we need to make a motion for that?
Yes. So what I heard you say is you're going to leave the 4th of July line item the same. You're going to combine the Fall Festival and Uncorked with an income of 15,000 and expenses of, expenses of 15,000, income of 12,000. And then marketing, you're going to put 6,000 for expenses with 0 income. And then leave the miscellaneous the same? Or drop it down to?
I think we wanted the income at 0, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Then yes, I will need a motion.
I motion to kind of just say make those changes.
A approve the budget as discussed and amended.
Okay, I move to adjust the budget as we decided the amendment should be. There you go.
All in favor?
I,
Right.
Aye. Okay, so does that kind of answer the whole budget item on there? Okay. So e-newsletter update from you, Benny.
What's your name?
Elena.
Elena. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I didn't say it incorrectly.
Yeah.
Elena has been fabulous. And she gets the things done very, very quickly. And so she put together the newsletter. You guys have all seen it. We both wish that we would have had more participation from the businesses or more entries from the businesses, but that didn't happen. And so one thing we did get was they didn't really fit into the theme of the newsletter. So we decided to add an announcement section so that anybody can make an announcement. Again, looking at what we're trying to do is market downtown core businesses. So we don't want to exclude any announcements that they may have just simply because it doesn't fit with the theme that we had selected for that particular newsletter. So I think they look great. I think we almost have the process in place. The one thing that would be really great is for you guys to send us any other theme ideas. And I guess, are you willing to just hang on to this? Yeah, this responsibility. So she has the tools and skills to do it and she gets it done really quickly. And I think what would be, other than theme ideas, the whole participation of businesses. So if we can encourage you, meet businesses or whatever, ask them to please take advantage of this opportunity.
Okay, revitalization grant update. That's you.
So Elena, can you get to your email on that? No, okay, because I got an email from the contractor. Do you just want me to talk about numbers through it? Yeah, okay. So our grant's due next Tuesday, the 15th, and Elena has done a really awesome job with writing it. We're pretty much done, but we're waiting for drawings from an architect that I'm meeting with on Wednesday. And then we'll get the numbers, more concrete numbers from the contractor after we go over the drawings. And then that's pretty much it. We'll finalize that and then get the application in. And right now, numbers for the contractor, this is before seeing the drawings and stuff. Right now, this is an estimated proposal for the property renovation for 355. They have not viewed the plans or drawings yet, but this is based on what we've talked to him about. Plans are currently in production. So we're at, rounding it up, it's $358,000 for his proposal for the changes being done. And with the grant, we could get up to 200, which would be awesome. Big help. So that's where we're at. We're pretty much done, just drawings and budget. And then we'll be on it.
So tonight, I need approval for the revitalization grant agreement. And attachment A was not attached. We were waiting for the budget amount, but we can just put the email from Hannah's contractor that says estimated. Because if you read the agreement, it says that this will be updated with an attachment B if we receive the grant, and we'll have final numbers then.
Okay.
And all this grant does is say that Hannah agrees to do the work, and we agree to be the pass-through entity for the grant if we receive the grant. Okay.
So we just need a motion to pass that? Do you have a question, Bennett?
Yeah, I did. So I just need to know where we're in the process. So This actually isn't what would be sent to the state for, or,
This agreement here is part of the required attachments for the grant application.
okay. And so then it has to be approved by that granting body.
Yes, so this is part of the grant application.
I
It
see.
gets sent to the state. The deadline is the 15th, and then we'll know in approximately a month and a half.
And then the amount is for the, to be awarded would be 200,000, then you're kicking in 150, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, I just wanted clarification.
Okay, so we just need a motion.
Mhm.
Okay,
And Hannah will have to recuse herself.
Yeah.
From voting on this. So.
okay, so I move to pass, what is this called? This agreement,
Revitalization grant agreement.
the revitalization grant agreement and the email from Hannah that will go with it.
I second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then, Hannah, did you have something else you wanted to talk about? You had some email.
Oh, yeah. Hannah said something about empty spaces.
Oh, yeah. Just for vacant buildings, has there been anything done to buildings that are just sitting vacant, like fees or fines or is that? a
Is that
thing?
something we
Is that-
can do?
Yeah.
That is, there are other cities, you can research code in other cities that
Mhm.
have that kind of structure for vacant buildings. I
Mm.
believe Silverton has one
Mm.
that require either it to be used or remodeled or
Right.
in the process of, so that it doesn't just sit there empty for years as a tax write-off kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah, because the one
Which is
Mhm.
what
on
they're
the
doing.
corner, the huge one, I mean, you can't get them to call you back. I've called 1,000 times.
Okay.
And so it's just literally sitting there as a tax write-off or whatever. And it's wasting such a valuable piece.
And they get offers, I know that.
They do,
But
I
people- they-
called,
Yeah,
so.
yeah, that's right.
I
Which
mean,
one
it's
is that?
This is the
Across
one right
from-
next to Reliance, between the tattoo shop and
The
Reliance.
old Artsmith,
Oh, oh.
they will not call back, they will not.
The only
respond.
person I've ever heard of that got through, the amount that they were asking was way out of Estacada. Like it was just,
To sell.
I don't know
Or
about buying,
rent,
but even
yeah.
just renting was
Renting, yeah.
just like absurd amount. Because
Yeah.
Ant Farm looked at that space as
Mhm.
well.
Yeah, they just won't call back. They're not
So-
interested in actually renting it, even though it has a for rent sign in it, in the window. So it would be
Just a
nice if we
shame,
can
'cause it's
find.
just right downtown.
It's
It just could be
huge.
such a rad place.
Well, It's
Oh,
also
yeah.
similar to like land as well, like the land that's between the bank and the post office.
Mhm.
There's a little
Mm.
traction on people wanting to build there and getting responses too.
Mhm.
Interesting,
So-
yeah. So that's just something we need to research.
Yeah, and I think that would fit under your project plan because you did have discussing recommendations to the council for code amendments for
Mhm.
downtown.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so do we
So-
want to put that on an agenda item? Do we want to discuss that now?
Well, I would recommend we put it on maybe the next meeting agenda so
Sure.
that we have time to do some research.
Okay,
That sounds good.
that works. Let's do that.
Okay.
And then passport project.
Draft, I emailed it to everybody. I think it looks good.
Yeah, it looks great.
If we are good with this and we want to run with it, he said it'd take about 10 to 11 days to get it printed.
Okay.
And so our goal was having this out starting spring break, so we should hit that.
Okay.
I kind of think that September is a long ways off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. I agree.
How long is, you said 11 days or 11 months?
No, 11 days to get it printed.
Okay,
When you set up the passport project, what Bennett is talking about.
Oh,
in
right.
that that you don't end it until September, which is you agreed to do the drawing around the fall festival. And I do agree that that's a really long time for this to be hanging around somebody's purse or backpack or glove box.
How long would you give it in order for it to be effective?
I would say no more than 2 months, no more than 60 days.
I agree with her. Because part of this is the energy around it. And 7 months is, there's,
long time.
yeah.
And there's not that many businesses to go
Mhm.
to.
What about waiting to give it out then? Like,
We could,
so
yeah.
Either way,
summer-
yeah.
Summer to fall or something.
Yeah.
Is that an option?
That is an option. Right now, the way this is written, it's collecting stamps starting now. So if we wanted to wait and hand it out, say, at the 4th of July through September, that would be a great idea because you'll have a lot of momentum already and a lot of people out and about on 4th of July.
I think more people are gonna be out walking around too, for the sake of it being nicer months. We also are potentially moving away from the mask mandate timeframe where people might be coming out to some of those
Yeah.
businesses more already. Yeah, I like the idea of kicking it off on an event like the parade or just that timeframe because people tend to come out already.
I'm a little torn because I feel like the point of it is to get people to come downtown when they're not typically coming downtown.
Yeah.
And so I feel like if we're handing it out in the summer, like they're already gonna be down there and I'm trying to get businesses busy right now.
So what
I
if
agree with you.
What if you flipped it? We do it during spring break, but it's ending July 4th. That
I think
timeframe.
that's great. I'm
That
all
was
for
my, that was gonna be my first suggestion
Yeah.
for us.
Okay, so I'm going to come up with even another.
That's right, more
Of
options.
course. So when we first started talking about this, it was hinged to Christmas. And we wanted people to shop in Estacada for Christmas instead of going to Clackamas Town Center. But we couldn't get it done then. So then we said, you know what? Starting it at the first of the year is really a great idea because that's when everybody's dead. And so let's, drum up some business then. And so we're going to continue being kind of dead until about May 1st.
Yeah.
So if it were me making the decision, I would say get it out as fast as we can and cut it off late, Memorial Day or even sooner than that.
Yeah, something quick just to get people,
Yeah.
like you said, excited, get them out right now because it has been like very quiet downtown. And I think people are gonna be out during 4th of July and stuff, so I'm not really worried about the business then.
Right.
I like the idea though, like it being either Memorial Day or some kind of a really key date that is easier to remember versus some arbitrary date that we've given just for the sake of kind of like that deadline of whether you have those people who are going to be doing all of it like the week before
Sure.
or, whatever. But it's a harder and easier deadline to remember and have it in your head. Memorial Day is fine. You
When
have,
is
like,
Memorial Day? Can you remind me of the date of that?
usually around the 30th of May, like that last week of May.
Because that would be about the right timeline if we literally sent it to print today.
Have we, so it's finalized, have we been,
All the
like,
businesses.
figured out prizes and stuff though?
I don't think we figured out prices yet. Is that correct?
Might be
So
something to
have
think about
time.
if we're not fully.
what you had discussed at the last meeting was having like a gift certificate that people
Oh,
could
that's
take
right.
to the businesses. And I did run that by Sadie, and she said that that would work great, is that we give a gift certificate, Estacada dollars, whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
And they could take it to the business and the business would just invoice us.
I love that.
And that-
Easy.
And that allows it. The
that's
only thing that you guys had discussed last time that we might potentially have issues with, and you're going to want to rethink, is that you talked about having kind of an early bird and giving away gift cards. And the auditors don't like gift cards. So if you want to think about something actual physical to give away for people who turn it in, or you can just leave it just the grand prize. You had discussed having a $100, $200, and $300 gift certificates as the grand prize.
And remind me, people are not paying for these or people?
Nope,
They're free.
they're free.
So like the whole idea of doing it early was just to get them stoked on it and like get
Yeah.
it going.
Yes.
And so anything that we give them as an incentive to start this would be just money out of our own pocket budget type thing,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Um,
So we had talked about some little teeny trinket kind of thing, like there's apparently some water bottles around. And
There's a few upstairs.
a few, just a
Yeah.
few.
I don't remember a whole bunch, and I cleaned up upstairs, so I don't remember. The ones that say City Hall on them, I don't remember a huge amount, if any.
You notice anything up there we can give away?
Do you have to pay to get into Uncorked?
That's, well, that was what it used to be, right? 'Cause you had to pay to get into
So you can
Uncorked.
Give away free entry.
If you did that, you would have to give it away to somebody who is.
21.
Yes.
Yeah, that complicates it a little bit.
So youth, what's the boundary then? That's something I didn't think about until just now, like, if you have a middle schooler walking in and grabbing one of these and going to each business, it doesn't seem like those are really our focal audience, right? So if a middle schooler fills this out, gets all the stamps, they go in and they could potentially win one of these grand prize gift certificates, or do you have to be 18 and over? Or
I don't
21 and
think-
over?
I don't think 18 and over is a bad idea. I think that would be nice because,
I don't think
I mean,
the young kids would be doing
yeah, I
it.
think that kids would be more apt to do it, and that's not going to benefit the downtown area. So 18 plus, and then do you guys want to do trinkets? Do you want to just do the grand prizes?
If you look in Oriental Trading Company catalog, you can get hundreds of stuff for really cheap.
Mhm.
So if that's something you want to look into, I can definitely get a catalog and see.
What is everybody's thoughts? Do you want to do a trinket? Do you want to just do the grand prizes?
I'm leaning more towards the grand prizes. I'm kind of more of a minimalist myself, so
Yeah.
I don't really like the idea of putting out trinkets that could just be garbage later or
Yeah.
whatever.
What
They're
about
not
you,
gonna do
Bennett?
it To get a water bottle.
Right.
Pin. I don't know.
Well,
don't care.
You don't care? I personally am too leaning towards just the bigger prizes because I don't think I would do it for a trinket.
Mhm.
I would do it more for the experience and for like the grand prize.
Totally.
So that's my vote personally. Yeah, everybody go with that?
Can someone out of town, like thinking about, well, again, the road's not open yet, but like if people are coming through and it just happens to line up, could they go through and stamp it and turn it into, right?
Yeah. We just want them to visit all of our businesses,
Right.
right?
Because then
We don't want
regardless,
too many rooms.
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I figured. I just asking.
I think the roads would be open too, Memorial Day.
Yeah. the road's
May
supposed to open in
1st.
May.
Yeah, most of.
But
That's
I agree
awesome.
that 18 and older is
Oh,
a
good
good
idea.
idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so do we
Yeah.
need to make a
Cool.
motion to change that stuff or is this not something that needs a motion?
You can just add that. right?
Yeah, I can just add that because this is already an approved project. So
Okay,
you want to change it to 18 plus, change the deadline to Memorial Day,
yes.
and then remove the information. There's a line in there about like early bird prizes. And so it's just the grand prize.
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic.
Okay. And so that will be 3 winners, is that right?
3 winners. Yep.
Okay,
So we're starting it soon?
so
To
we'll go to
deadline-
print as soon
deadline
as
is
possible.
Memorial.
Yeah,
Yes.
I
Oh, wow,
will,
okay.
I will send these changes to the designer probably in the morning.
Okay.
And then he should be able to just send it off to print.
Yeah.
And he said 10 to 12 days. So.
That's great.
Is
And
this
then
something-
really that will be our next or close to next newsletter topic. We'll post where you can pick them up and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was my
great.
next question. Fantastic. Okay,
Is the passport something that we can do like every year?
Yeah.
Or,
Mhm.
right? It's
Yeah.
not. Or every
And these,
times a year.
these aren't found at the businesses, or they are found at these businesses?
are we gonna have them at all the businesses? Is that what we had decided here and all the businesses? Were we gonna have these all at City Hall and at the businesses that are participating?
I don't know.
I thought, I
I-
felt
I
like
thought-
that's what we had
I thought it
decided.
was.
I thought that's what you had decided to.
Okay, so the
I don't
plan
know.
is to have some at City Hall and then at any of the participating businesses, you can go in and pick up as well. Okay,
Maybe that's
Does a business
pretty-
have, I'm just thinking, I'm now thinking on the personal hat of like our particular place, since we've changed the deadline, our Zobrist building won't have occupancy in, before that deadline.
I'm sure you don't have to.
Okay,
Yeah.
because at our lot, we're not gonna,
Yeah.
it's more of a
Yeah.
in and out kind of space. So, okay, cool.
Okay, we already discussed the marketing research project. So down to event planning, any updates?
Not really much going on yet. I contacted the school, so we got permission to use their grounds for the 4th of July parade. One of the things about Uncorked and the Fall Festival, we need to decide if we're gonna need or have any events on the Harvest Market Square and get in touch with them. Well, I still need to get in touch with them about donating pies and pumpkins and that type of stuff. I've got a message into OLCC about what we need to do for Uncorked. Still need to come up with a theme for the parade and Grand Marshals. We got a couple months for that. Hannah's given me some ideas, so.
So anything that we can help with at the moment? Are
Yeah,
you?
I'll let you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are we still thinking about doing something on the Harvest Fest Uncorked Day event? Are we still contemplating doing something?
Okay, what, Chris?
Sorry, one of the meetings, I think it was 2 ago, we talked about potentially doing something that would draw families down earlier in the day,
Mhm,
where they might then be able to go back, do the
Mhm.
nap,
Yep.
and then come
Yeah.
back for Uncorked, or, whatever, make it more of a full day versus just
Right,
an afternoon
right.
to evening. And I
Right.
was wondering if we'd set anything in stone. Now-
It's gonna be time real soon for folks to step up and say they want to help with this event or this event. And then we'll start narrowing it down to what we want to do. I think it's going to be interesting to see how that works. I think it can work. It's just going to be changing people's mindset, for not having it at one time. I think we can do it.
Okay,
I'm going to ask Rob Gaskell to help with the music. Courtney O'Byrne did the vendors last time, and I know she's willing to help. So, yeah.
talking to Deborah Vendetta from the library. She and I have continued to kind of discuss the idea of doing something chalk and artsy
Mhm.
in the morning.
Mhm.
So I would love to step
Yep.
into that and maybe take on just that time frame.
Yep.
Because I
It's like-
don't
yeah.
know too much about the other 2 parts of that myself.
Yeah, chalk art would be fabulous.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how does, help me with next steps then? Is it just connecting with Connie for getting more involved with that component, or is it setting up something within the commission? Just you?
Just to have a couple people on the committee,
Uh-huh.
I think I want to break it down into each event. And then it's just a matter of doing outreach, one time we had the Girl Scouts that took over a couple of booths at Harvest, the churches get involved too with doing some vendor stuff. So
And when you say,
I have a pretty good idea in my head what we want to do. We definitely want to do the pie eating and the pumpkin painting. It depends on how much we want to have going on. So be asking for some volunteers in the next few months. So.
Anybody have any other questions on that? No? Okay. We already talked about the downtown updates unless there was something else.
Jeremy talked about parking structure.
I don't know. Do you, Elena?
Talk about the what?
Parking structure
What parking?
being built downtown somewhere,
Is that like a rumor going on?
just thoughts.
I mean,
Oh.
like getting more parking,
Mhm, mhm.
like infrastructure.
Yeah.
So from what I understand, it's been kind of a longstanding problem. Is that true? With parking, it's just been an issue for a long time.
Yes.
So I know they're adding more housing over here. I think it's gonna be 6 apartments. Is that correct? So I don't know anything about where those people are gonna park.
There's a plan that was submitted because they did receive a grant from the urban development. So if you want to go on
the website, you can look at the plan, and it does have some parking in the plan that shows where that is. I
Mm.
believe it's in the back side of the building, but
Okay.
I haven't looked at it
And
recently.
then I
Yeah,
believe
sure.
when I was on the Parks and Rec Commission, the waterfront park that's been in there, I believe there is some parking that has been designed into that space. That's not just grass over there too.
Okay.
But it's minimal. I mean, like kind of like when they put in the parking over here by the fire station.
Yeah.
Like it's more parking, but it's not a lot more parking.
And it's in a very awkward place compared to the rest of downtown.
Well,
The urban development, urban renewal is looking at doing a Main Street redesign, which
I
would
saw that.
change parking on Main
Right.
Street. So I'm sure if you guys are interested, when that comes up and we're looking for public comment, I'll send that information on to you.
Okay.
Well, one of the things that we had talked about were recommendations to the city council. And what Matt had said to us is that there's a whole lot of things that the city council would like to do. But the amount of effort that those things would take was probably beyond what they wanted to invest at that time. But we as a commission could say to them, hey, you know what? We really think that you ought to put this, I don't know what to call it, the motel there. You ought to elevate the priority on that motel. And that we think that what the city really needs is, instead of the motel, is a parking structure. And that should be on your shorter or long range plan. And that's the recommendation of this committee. There was one other thing I can't remember.
Town Square.
Town Square, yeah, that was another one. And so in any case, that discussion may be, I mean, because it actually was written as kind of a note in the plan that we may want to actually engage in some of that conversation and then start shooting out some recommendations to the city council.
Totally. So that would be the first step.
Yeah, I think Matt said we don't really have like say, all we can
Oh,
do is
yeah.
recommend.
Totally.
And
Yeah.
hope that they take that recommendation seriously. So if that's something that we want to do, should we put that on an agenda item for next time? To kind of,
Specifically looking at parking.
yeah, I think looking at, I mean, one of the biggest things we've been talking about since we started the committee again was that space, because it's such a valuable piece of land that is just not doing anything. So we had wanted to find a way to add additional parking and then address that situation to see if there was anything we could do to move it up their priority list. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know that that space is for sale or is even being considered for development by the property owners, though.
It's not,
Okay.
but there are other things that they could do. I mean, they've made overtures, and comes from Matt, not from me. So they've made overtures or had tried to start conversations with the owner, and the owner has not indicated any interest. But everything's for sale, right? So you get to the right amount of money and
Well,
or
it's
the right
also
structure.
part of our code situation that we're talking about
Mhm,
too,
right.
like we can attempt to write in our code that has to look different.
Mhm.
So even if that's a step we have to take of like the vacant buildings and addressing the way the buildings look. I think whatever we can do to address that situation would be awesome.
And that would be, for like the vacant building idea, that would be all of anything on this tier of Estacada. So like Andale, even though it's not on Broadway, would be considered a vacant building.
Yes, that is inside the
Yeah.
downtown. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, so it would be, you would make a recommendation for everything in the downtown district, which does include some of the space over there. And then several blocks this general direction.
does it include like Les Schwab and all the way over there? Is that still considered our downtown?
Yes,
It just
To
doesn't
a
include like
certain-
upper.
yeah, Yeah,
That's
the
cute.
map is on the website. So
Okay,
if
I'll
you
look
look at
at
the
it again.
zoning map, it has the downtown zone. And
Okay.
that is what we are part of, is the downtown zone.
Okay.
And I think it's in the plan too.
Yeah,
in our- in
yes.
our-
yeah, it is in the
Yeah.
plan.
There's also condemnation that, I mean, it's not something that is typically used, but it is a tool used by governments.
Yeah, it's, it needs some help over there. Okay, any other comments or questions or thoughts on that subject? Okay, and then, so we've got public comment. You got anything to say?
We do have one attendee
Oh, cool.
online now, but, and so they could raise their hand and I can let them speak if they had something they wanted to say.
Okay.
Oh.
I'll just throw it out there. I understand for the passport that you guys are looking to bring people to your businesses. But if you're only giving the passport pamphlets to people that come into your businesses, you're not reaching the people that are not coming into your businesses, which is who you're actually seeking. You know, it's those people. So maybe a mailer or something that you guys might want to strategize about getting it to homes of people to let them know, hey, this is going on, and maybe it's something that will bring people in that wouldn't otherwise have come in. Just as an idea versus just giving it out to the people that only come in. Because those are just, you're wanting a repeat customer at that point. You're not wanting to acquire new customers.
That's a great point.
Purpose would be to acquire new customers. That's just something I thought about.
I think we had talked to Matt previously about sending out a flyer in the water bill
Yeah,
to see if that was something we could do just to like,
to promote the
That's a good idea.
passport.
yeah, is that something that we can do?
Yeah, you can put some information in the water bill.
Okay, so I think the water bill just came out,
Yeah, it did.
so definitely would have to be next month's water bill.
That's
Um,
fine, because these still have to get printed, right?
Yeah, so to get printed and that gives us a little bit of time. So is that something that we can put into plan or is there somebody who needs to help out with that or is that something you can do?
No, I can do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And an excellent comment, I think, but we probably don't have the budget to do it this time, but if we continue that project in the future, we might want to think about it. The good news is that the 1,100 emails that we're going to be announcing this are going to tell where you can go get it. And one other thing is that people that come into my business don't necessarily go to another business. And there's, how many of them are in this?
20 or 30?
20? Yeah.
28.
So they will be encouraged to go places that they're not used to going.
Yeah.
You might also be inclined to ask for emails of your patrons and share those with the MailChimp as well.
Yeah.
Like survey between all the businesses, that 20 businesses could produce their own 1,000 emails each, and they could all be separate from other ones. And you can be able to X the duplicates, but then have the list of 10,000 emails. It'd be a lot more effective because I was just thinking like, how would I get my email on that list?
And that's
I
something
wouldn't
we
have a
haven't
way to
figured
do
out.
that right now without knowing, but perhaps those people that come in, you can ask like, hey, would you like to sign up for Estacada's email list, or just sign up for your own personal one, and then you can pass those along as well. There is marketing ways to do that.
Yeah, we did put it on there's a form in the back of the passport where people put in and we did put a box in there saying, would you like to sign up for the
Cool.
emails? And it is on our website, so when people go there, but we can certainly promote more, getting people to sign up for the email list.
And
It's just hard. People don't like to sign up
I
Yeah.
know. they
with
don't.
email,
But-
nobody likes to sign up. for newsletters.
yeah, and to that point, as individual businesses, they can promote the passport via their
Yes.
own social media
Right.
or
Sure.
any of
Mhm.
those other avenues,
Yeah.
because it's going to
They have
benefit
their
them.
own
Right.
email list.
Which can potentially do, as the gentleman said too, if your social media network is vast, then that potentially could be marketing for all the other businesses that maybe don't have the vastness or don't use social, like all those.
Mhm.
So, okay.
Any other public comments? Should raise their hand.
No.
Okay. Any commissioner comments? Okay, well, then our meeting is adjourned at 6:05 PM.
Good job.